God's last-second warriors. These are men forged in silence and released in perfect timing. Long before we named it courage, destiny, or faith, there existed a pattern inside creation itself. A pattern older than kingdoms, older than language, older than the rise and fall of civilizations. This pattern has one message for the men who carry a different fire inside their bones. Some men rise early, some rise halfway, but the men chosen for the greatest battles rise at the final moment. Not because they are late, but because they are timed. This is the mystery of the last-second warrior. The man who is refined long before he is released. A man who is shaped long before he is seen. The man who is tested long before he is trusted. The man who is withheld long before he is revealed. He is not delayed. He is prepared. He is not forgotten. He is recalibrated. He is not abandoned. He has been aligned with something larger than his understanding. This is about those men. Every last-second warrior knows the season that almost no one speaks about. A season that feels like silence. A season that feels like isolation. A season where nothing moves. A season where everything breaks. A season where the world misunderstands him. He watches others rise quickly. He watches doors open for men who do half the work. He watches others gain rewards for paths he refused to take because they violated his truth. He walks alone. Not because he is weaker, but because his path is narrower. This is the paradox of a chosen man. He does not get shortcuts. He does not get early rewards. He does not get cheap victories. He is prepared in secret so that he can rise in the moment that matters more than comfort. A moment that shifts the entire battlefield. This is why ancient texts from every culture speak of this type of man. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is paralyzed until the final moment before the battle. In the Old Testament, David's kingship is delayed for years while lesser men sit on the throne. In Islamic tradition, patience is praised because timing determines victory. In Kabbalah, the gateways of divine timing open only when a soul is ready for responsibility. In Taoist wisdom, the master moves only when the moment is ripe. Different traditions, same pattern. The warrior does not move early because early movement is defeat. He moves when everything aligns. The greatest battles in a warrior's life are not fought on fields. They are fought in silence. Silence is the training ground. Silence removes illusion. Silence breaks dependence. Silence exposes what is false. Silence clears the battlefield. Silence forces the warrior inward. This is where he learns the truth that ordinary men run from. The warrior is not made in battle. He is made before it. In silence, a man meets his fears, his impatience, his ego, his weakness, his loneliness. In silence, the warrior is stripped down to his foundation. Everything temporary breaks. Everything false lives. Everything weak dies. Everything authentic is revealed. This is the forge. This is the refinement. This is the purification that precedes the moment. And the world mistakes this for collapse. But the warrior knows silence is not absence. Silence is alignment. He is not waiting. He is being timed. He is hidden for a while, not because he is forgotten, but because what is being shaped inside him cannot be revealed too early. The world saw the version of him that could break, but it has not yet met the version that was revealed in the fire. There was a time when pressure crushed him. Now pressure constructs him. There was a time when he sought strength from others. Now his silence unsettles those who once believed he depended on them. He had changed, and that change is not arrogance, it is ascension. People recognize the man who needed saving. They do not recognize the man who became the storm. When God rebuilds a man, He removes the noise that once controlled him. He strips away the hunger for validation and addiction to comfort, the need to prove anything to anyone. He rebuilds him into something sacred, eyes sharper, heart quieter, purpose heavier. He walks different. Even those who left him in the fire will not understand what walks out of it. They will call it pride, but it is peace. They will call it ego, but it is evidence. Hiddenness was never punishment, it was protection. It was the making room of God. The warrior's timing is not his own. There is a rhythm inside every chosen man, a rhythm that refuses to move early and refuses to collapse late. This rhythm does not come from logic. It does not come from fear, pressure. It does not come from the voices of others. It comes from an inner knowing that knows, not yet, not now. Wait, hold, stand, stay. Not this battle, not this moment. And when the moment is right, the same voice becomes, now, rise, move, speak, strike, step forward. The warrior's timing is ancient. It is older than his breath. It is older than his fears. It is older than his age. It is older than the conflicts he faces. Warriors carry timing in their bones. A last-second warrior does not fight his enemy at full strength. He fights him after the enemy has exhausted himself. This is why so many situations in the warrior's life look like they are going against him. What is actually happening is alignment. People who plot against him reveal themselves. People who pretend to be loyal unmask themselves. People who wish for his downfall expose their intentions. People who try to manipulate him overplay their hand. The enemy always collapses before the warriors strike. This is why the warrior stays calm. This is why the warrior does not rush. This is why the warrior holds his position. He does not react emotionally. This is why he trusts the moment more than the noise. By the time the warrior moves, the field is already his. What many call delay is actually divine reversal being prepared. Every force that rose against him was allowed to speak, allowed to reveal itself, allowed to exhaust itself. Because God never leaves a man into partial clarity. He lifts him into full authority. There were seasons where he begged God to move, but God was building the foundation first. Lifting is never cheap. Elevation is never casual. Breakthrough is never premature. When God raises a man, He roots him. He roots him through storms that will have erased another. He roots him in the deserts where no applause can reach. He roots him until the man becomes unshakable. This is why when the moment comes, nothing can stop the rise. Not the voices of doubt, not the whispers of enemies, not the weight of the past. Because the rise is not a reward, it is a response to endurance in silence, to steadfastness in suffering, to the nights where he held on only by breath and bruises. The lifting of a last-second warrior does not come gently. It comes like thunder, like a decree, like a command that breaks chains on contact. God does not lift him back to where he was. God lifts him above everything that once tried to bury him. This is why the warrior does not fear delay. Delay is the battlefield rearranging itself in his favor. And then one day, when the world thinks the story is over, when even the warrior wonders if the moment will ever come, something shifts. It is quiet, it is subtle, it is precise, it is unshakable. A door opens, a clarity appears, a strength awakens, a decision becomes effortless, a path becomes visible, a heaviness breaks, a new fire rises in his chest. There comes a moment in the life of a last-second warrior when exile becomes clarity, The breaking becomes blueprint, the silence becomes strength, and the pain becomes prophecy. This is the moment where the same God who allowed the crushing begins the lifting, not slowly, not softly, but with force that shakes everything around him. Because what tried to bury him was never strong enough to bury what God built in him. Every scar became scripture, every tear became training, every night of anguish became architecture. He was not buried, he was planted. And planted seeds do not scream, they rise to earth in silence, until the day they break open the ground and the world steps back in reverence. When God lifts a man built in exile, he does not rise like others. He rises with an authority that does not tremble, it trembles others. He rises with a presence that cannot be ignored. He rises with a voice tempered by fire. He rises with a peace that confuses those who once knew his storms. This is not a comeback. This is a divine order. This is the unveiling of a man shaped by God's own hands. The warrior knows instantly, it is time. He does not need confirmation. He does not need any applause. He does not need validation. He does not need permission. He does not need any approval. He steps forward, not with noise, not with fury, not with desperation, not with any insecurity. He steps with presence. He steps with clarity, with exactness, with identity. He steps with a quiet, unshakable force. This is the moment of rising, not earlier, not later, perfectly timed. Most people imagine the warrior's victory as physical strength, but the true victory is internal. The warrior wins because he did not collapse, he did not react, he did not overextend, he did not abandon himself, he did not break his discipline, he did not betray his inner knowing. Victory is not what happens outwardly, victory is what happens inwardly. The real enemy was never the situation, neither the people or the obstacles. The real enemy was the part of him that wanted to move early. When that part collapses, the warrior becomes unstoppable. The last second is not a moment in time, it is a state of being. It is when everything that tried to break you has already exhausted itself. It is when every illusion has already revealed its true face. It is when every false connection has already fallen away. It is when every emotional weakness has already been burnt out of your system. The last second is the moment you are aligned with the strongest version of yourself. This is why chosen men rise late, not because they are slow, but because their calling requires precision. The last second warrior is not simply the man who survives, he is the man who sees clearly. At the exact moment, clarity matters most. So listen carefully. If your life has moved in final moments, if your breakthroughs arrive when the world thinks it is over, if your timing confuses others, if your path has been lonely, if your strength appears when everything collapses, if your victories come late but come with perfection, if pressure refines you instead of destroying you, if silence sharpens you instead of weakening you, if you feel a different fire inside your bones, then you are not cursed, you are not forgotten, you are not behind, you are a last-second warrior. Your timing is different, your battles are different, your calling is different, and when the moment comes, you will rise with a presence that does not need introduction, because the world will not recognize you from your comfort. The world will recognize you from your rising. So if this spoke to something deep within you, stay, subscribe, because this is only the beginning. Until then, stand steady, walk true,